Hello, hello, hello. Maureen, I'm so happy that you are here and that you've decided to come on board and talk to me and some of my viewers about what it is you went through these past 6 months. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and then you have the full stage to say whatever you like and how you got what you got out of it, mostly out of the program that you've been on, the Maitri Wellness Whole Health Program. So,
Awesome. Thanks, Hannah. I'm so happy to be here
yay.
to
So
chat
first
a
and
little bit more.
foremost, please first tell me about the transformation that you've experienced between the very beginning and now the end of the coaching program. So paint the picture where you were at mentally, emotionally, physically when we started and to where you are now.
Sure. So, really at the beginning of this program, and I do have to say, before I actually onboarded with you, I'd been in a couple discussions with you, and then, I kind of pulled back because I don't think I had been in the right headspace yet, that real, like, kind of rock bottom of, like, I really need help situation. And about 8 months ago, I really hit that rock bottom. I was really toying between about 3 different diets every day. I was trying to lose weight. I had just, and I was happy in my, my personal life. I'd gotten married earlier that year, and I was already struggling with my weight before the wedding. And then, most of the time when you get married, most people tend to put on more weight. So I was really in this weird body image space, still in a pandemic, definitely in a hard emotional state. And I was really just in this yo-yo dieting mentality, and I felt really lost. And so that was really the state that I was in before this program. And that's when I decided to seek help with you. And then now let's fast forward, 6 months. I feel amazing. I feel, beautiful. I feel comfortable in my own skin. I've definitely, we've worked through a lot of issues. And one thing in particular that I'm starting to, really, really notice is, I've understood my hunger cues. I know what triggers me and what to do in those situations. I've loaded up my toolkit now. And I have confidence. I have confidence in the way I walk down the street. I have confidence enough to go out and get a new job. And I've, definitely done a 180 in my life. I've set boundaries with my families, and, I've really confirmed with everybody what I've been going through. And now I'm on the other side of it. And I feel just like I'm prepared for the rest of my life to not have to feel that lost again.
Ah, that's so incredible. That's so, so amazing. So amazing to hear and even more amazing to witness your growth from day one to now here we are 6 months later. My heart is so full and I'm just so proud of you in so many ways. And I would love you to speak a little bit about the kind of ripple effect that confidence and you really building up your self-trust and having all these tools under your tool belt to deal with body image and your relationship with food. And after healing that, you noticed other things that were opening up in your life. You've mentioned just now that you now have a new job. You set healthy boundaries. Can you speak a little about that and how that's affected you?
Yeah, sure. So, one thing in particular is, especially in this program, we've dealt with a lot of inner child healing, and we've really talked about, where some of these issues have stemmed from. And it really took me a while to really get to a point of wanting to set healthy boundaries with my loved ones. And it's really hard for me because I'm very close with my family, and, we don't like to talk about the bad things, really like, keeping it positive. So I definitely recently, wrote my parents a letter and kind of told them about my story, and really, gave them a piece of me that they maybe wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And it was really wonderful. It actually ended up being a really great experience. They showed love and support. They cared about the situation, and they um, I feel like they learned a lot more about me. And our relationship is a lot stronger now. I don't feel self-conscious around my family anymore. I feel, loved, and I feel beautiful again, which is really wonderful. And then also, I, earlier this year, I was really miserable at work, but, when you're dealing with emotion, like, first of all, emotional health and your own body health, it's hard to really focus on anything else. You kind of just get stuck. And so I've been stuck for a little while, and I know I needed a change, but I didn't know where the changes needed to happen. It was too many changes needed. So once I kind of, buttoned up this part of myself and got my emotional health and my mental health in a really positive place, I realized that I can really take on anything. And that this was going to be a hard shift for my career, but it was necessary. And, after a lot of hard work and a lot of interviewing and everything, I actually was able to get an amazing opportunity. And I think a big part of that too is talking about yourself. When you're interviewing, you're talking about yourself a lot. And if you
Mhm.
love yourself very much, it's really hard to talk about yourself. So, loving myself made me a more desirable candidate in the end of the day too. So those are definitely,
Absolutely. Yeah.
help me.
Yeah. I just love hearing that, and I love seeing that in you. That's a huge transformation. And you're right. When we are so lost in our own thoughts about our body, or even just food takes up so much brain space, we don't have the capacity to see our worth in other ways, or ask for something that we deserve, such as a new job or a promotion and something like that. So just seeing you be able to shed what was no longer serving you, those thoughts of food and obsession and body image anxiety, allowed you to really come out of your shell in so many beautiful ways. And it's just been amazing to watch.
Well, thank you. It's been a very difficult process, but it was
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, this work is not easy. It's not easy, but it wouldn't be long lasting if it was. And I guess, the second question would be, how do you think your friends and family have noticed your transformation? Have they noticed anything different, or anything changed between you and your maybe mental state? And what tangible ways has this been showing up in your life?
Well, I've actually had a couple of recent comments, just in the last like couple months, of like, you're glowing. Like
Yeah.
literally, I think I was actually in a very depressed state. And, I'm also a wear my emotions on my sleeve kind of girl. So it's really hard for me to hide that. And I do feel like, also I'm also able to be a better friend now because I'm not in this, and a better wife. I actually recently had a conversation with my husband about this too, where I was like, I was opening up about everything. I'm like, I'm in a really wonderful place now. If you have something wrong, I can be there for you, because I'm not in this constant worry about if I'm healthy, what diet I need to be on, what macro counting app should I be using every day. And I'm not in this dependent state on my own, craziness. Almost, I didn't want to
Yeah.
word crazy, but
Yeah.
you get yourself wound up in this diet culture, and you just don't have a way out of it. You just get sucked further and further in. And, especially for me, who's seen success with a lot of different diets, it's really important for me to be in this state now, because now I'm not relying on a diet for happiness. I'm not relying on a scale to understand where my goals are.
Mm.
I'm
Mhm.
looking at is how I'm feeling, how I'm okay. I went and bought more clothes, bought some newer clothes. I get compliments on them all the time. I get this, and I think it shows across my life. This energy that I have now. I have a lot more energy.
Yes.
I am more
Same.
energetic. I can go do more things because I want to. So
Right.
I definitely, yeah. First thing that I could think of was, you're glowing. And then also, especially my parents, my family is pretty proud of me, of what they didn't really even realize I was going through. And that I'm on the other side of it now. There's a lot of pride and And I'm pretty proud of myself too.
Well, yes, you should be. You absolutely should be. We went through a ton together and unpacked a ton and went through a lot of unlearning to then relearn how to
Yep.
treat your body and how to build that self-trust again. And that is a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work, and you did amazing. What would you say the top three things that you learned about yourself would be during this process?
Well, I definitely, so especially in that inner child healing exercise that we did,
Mhm, mhm,
I learned that, our past have a huge influence on us, and being able to fix, essentially fix some of those memories and make me realize that all I needed was love in those situations, and, giving myself that self-love. That was one of probably the biggest things that I have to say I've taken away from this program, was that you can actually, work on yourself enough to get to that self-love place. Um,
mm,
I've also learned about, my inner mean girl a lot more, and really how I talk to myself. I learned that, I use the word you a lot in my brain to myself, saying, you need to lose weight, you need to eat healthy.
mhm.
Realizing that you language was very detrimental to myself, and changing that to I, and saying, like, I want to have a sandwich today. I want to go on a walk. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And rather than, using that angry, mean girl language, and really just not letting her have a seat at my table, and really moving away.
Yes.
That was a huge, huge one for me. And then, oh my gosh, I mean, there's just so many things that, that I've learned, but I did learn, my weight doesn't define me.
Mhm.
And it's so crazy because, when you open up to people that you love around you, and you kind of open up about these things, they all reassure you that nothing was ever dependent upon your weight. Like, everyone loved me for me all along. Is all about, loving myself. And so those are definitely some of the huge, huge things I've learned from the program.
That's right. That's so beautiful. Oh, that's so good. That's like it's like gonna make me cry.
Keeping it together, Hannah.
I know, right? So how has this work surprised you at all? Has anything surprised you along the way? And how has your life changed maybe in ways that you didn't expect? I know maybe you had preconceived notions of what you were going to get out of this program before you started. Has anything come up along the way that you didn't expect?
Um, I mean, there's been a lot of unexpected things. I think, especially doing any type of therapy or any type of, self-reflection, you really learn a lot about yourself.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
what I learned about myself is that I, control is a huge part of, a huge part of why, I used to binge eat, and control is something that I always kind of felt like I never really had.
Mm.
And something that I learned from the program is that I do have control. I have the ability to. Now, is it going to be 1,200 calories a day broken out by and not eating a banana because it's got too many carbs in it? No, like, that's not. Nobody has that control. That's for crazy. That's insane. Like, to live that forever. Now,
Not sustainable.
yes,
Yeah.
but it wasn't sustainable. So, like, learning, first of all, that whole process that we went through, the 10-step program of letting yourself eat whatever you want. I mean, goodness, I think I ate more Popeyes in the last 2 months than I'd ever eaten in my entire life, because I literally never let myself eat Popeyes. Now I don't want Popeyes again. It doesn't matter. It doesn't weigh on me. But just
Mhm.
like, letting myself lose a little bit of control, that control that I always thought I needed to always have on myself,
Mm.
eventually find the true control that I do have, which
Yeah.
is, well, I do have that. Restriction was holding me to this, you know, this uncontrollable state. And learning that it's really the restriction side that was doing it.
Mhm.
That was something I had no idea was really the main issue. So
Right, absolutely. It's so interesting. That is a very common problem that I see with a lot of the clients that I have is they think that they have a food problem or a food addiction. It's not a food addiction. It's not a food problem. It is generally an unmet needs problem, and it's also stemming from a restriction. The problem is restriction, and then the consequence of that restriction is usually binge eating or overeating or emotional eating.
Yep. And then holding yourself back or eating supplements for that, like, just eating a damn candy bar one time and just trying to eat, super healthy protein bars. Just eat the one candy bar and be done with it, because you're going to overeat 15 protein bars just to get that one candy bar. And then eventually you're probably going to binge out and eat 4 candy bars.
Yeah.
That's what ends up happening. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. So who do you think, if you could maybe characterize some characteristics or even current life struggles, who do you think would benefit from working with me on this program, or with issues that are similar to yours? And why do you think that this program would be most helpful for them?
Well, first of all, as a yo-yo dieter myself, I have to say yo-yo dieters and people who feel lost in their health journey, and definitely, I do have to say, I do think having that knowledge of how diets work, I do think that really helped me a lot in the program. So I do think that yo-yo dieters are a huge, have a huge opportunity for this program. I do think that because you have all this knowledge that you're like, oh, well, if I do paleo, I know that's really healthy. But if I do, keto, I'll lose a lot of weight really fast. But then if I do, intermittent fasting, I can eat a lot in a short period of time, but then I'm starving when I go to bed. And it's that mentality of always thinking like that it weighs you down. It keeps you back from making yourself happy. And so that's why I think, it was essentially like we had a therapy session and, a food healing session all at the same time. And I unlearned a lot of that dieting mentality. Now, did I learn from those diets that eating, less starchy carbs at night tends to make me feel better and less lethargic? Sure. There are certain things that I've learned from diets, but I do think, yo-yo dieters are a huge demographic for this. I do think, people who struggle with control issues. I do think that, especially if you control your food, and that's a big part of how you use that to control your surroundings. But in general, I learned a lot about control, a lot about what makes me tick, and I do think that someone who struggles with control issues would benefit as well. And then obviously, like, emotional eaters, because my gosh, how many times have I been stressed in the last couple months and not even remotely been like, oh, food's going to help me here. We fixed that. We made that clear that food does not solve your emotions. Does eating a bowl of ice cream make you feel darn good sometimes? Sure. And fine, eat the bowl of ice cream, but don't do it out of stress. Don't do it out of anger. Do it from self-love and be like, I love ice cream. I'm going to eat a bowl of ice cream because my body wants it. There's just that change when you are an emotional eater, and shifting that change. About
the mindset, right? You do it mindfully instead of doing it because it's an automatic response to running away from your feelings or not wanting to feel the feelings at all.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great to hear. I guess, is there anything that I, as a coach, could work on or change to improve the coaching experience that you've received from me?
I honestly, Hannah, I so much out of this program that it's really hard to even think about. I mean, I'm not trying to, toot your own horn too much, but I really can't think of much else that the program well advanced what my thoughts were going to be of it. So it's hard for me to say there could have been something else you could have done. I think I think it's always hard to know when to reach out and when to kind of pull back. And, I think you do a really good job of that. I think maybe during the program, I was like, you need to talk to me more, but I wasn't telling you that. So, a give and take of learning that. And now, you reach out a lot. And I think even just throughout the program, you've been able to ebb and flow with me and change along with me too. So it's hard to say. I just say, keep doing what you're doing, keep evolving, and, being flexible with your clients because everyone's a little different.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I always market the program as being extraordinarily customizable, because everybody has different needs, everybody has different desires, and they're always at different stages in their life, different stages in their health journey too. So yes, I do have a step-by-step process for what we do work on in the program. However, if someone needs a little more in this area and a little less in this, that's completely at will. It will be changed and kind of maneuvered and shifted through the program, because everyone's health journey is different. Everyone's health is different. Everybody's mindsets are different, and some people need a little bit more help in certain areas and a little less in others. And so yeah, that's just something that wanted to communicate, because I work one-on-one, and every person comes to me with different needs and with different desires and with different struggles and pain. So it's always going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. And I have to say, me coming into the program, I think it was kind of funny what I thought I needed. And I'm like, I want to lose weight. And you're like, okay, but let's focus on, body image a little longer. And I'm like, no, I'm good. She looks fine. But really taking those extra weeks, to really focus on what I needed and maybe what I didn't realize was really helpful too. And I think, having the trust to let you, help lead that journey too is really is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I feel a lot better. But at the time I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what coaching is all about, right? Sometimes we think we need this one thing and we actually need a completely different thing. And sometimes they look totally different. But that is part of this journey together, is really going on that ride and doing it with somebody who's been there before. And I've definitely been where you've been before. And that's something that I hold really dear to my heart, because it's also makes me a little bit more relatable, I hope, to be able to ask me like those deep, hard questions and understand, okay, this is actually how I get to the other side. Not what I think I need, but I'm gonna take it to the pros, so to speak.
Yeah, well, and I do think when you were really candid with me, it helps me open up more too. And I think you did a really good job of balancing that, where it's not all about Hannah. It's just, hey, here's where I've been. Here's how I dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
And let's deal with yours together. Like, where at the time you didn't have somebody to hold your hand, whereas you're there right beside me the whole time. So yeah, really, really just really wonderful how you're leading the program.
Yeah, thank you. What was your biggest hesitation about working with me? Why did you also then decide to make that commitment despite the hesitation? And maybe what were some fears that were put to rest after we started working together?
So I do, I'm gonna apologize, but I do have to say, I think, money was always a hard thing for me.
I don't apologize. Everybody says that. Okay.
But that was a huge hurdle for me. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just wait. And whatever, I go and pay for some macro counting thing, and then I go and I get this gym app that's going to encourage me to work out more, and then I have this macro counting app. Oh, I just upgraded it. Oh my God, the amount of money that I spent not going to you just wasted more money. So also, just all the health foods and all the health things that, you do when you're trying to diet and you're trying to, you subscribe to these health, meals that get delivered to you and all this stuff. And none of it ends up working. None of it ends up being sustainable. And so, that was kind of a fear that got put to rest, where I was like, all right, let's quantify this. Like, how much did I just gain from this? There was no dollar amount here. Like, there isn't a dollar amount that would, if you had told me this much money was going to make me feel this good, I wouldn't have believed you, first of all. And second of all, I would have been like, well, that's probably not expensive enough to make me feel how good I am. So I do have to say, cost was a huge thing for me at first, but probably about halfway through the program, I mean, not even halfway, probably within a month, I was like, okay, this was worth the money, because also we're consistent. I've got you for 6 months.
Mhm.
We're not going away. We're really sticking to it, and making huge strides. And you also offer a lot of things throughout the program, free meditations and other things that maybe I would have paid for elsewhere. So
Yeah.
I definitely think that cost was a huge hesitation, and thank God I did it now, because I probably would have wasted a lot more money. And
Yeah. Yeah. You have to think of like the cost of inaction, right? The cost of not going for it and not saying yes to your complete transformation, which is maybe hard to see in the very beginning. But I love, yeah, I think you just illustrated that perfectly, of how much money was wasted doing other things that were just feeding into the problem and making it even harder for you to climb out of that hole, right?
right,
Rather
just
than
digging myself further. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm,
Because maybe this is the right solution. And it's that mentality that I've had my entire life. I mean, especially
mhm.
in the last, I've been like seriously dieting. I mean, I've always counted calories as a kid, and I've always done stuff, but I've been like seriously dieting for about like 10 years.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Probably, yeah, 10 years. And that's exhausting. I mean, also, the amount of nutritionists I've seen, the amount, like, let's look at those bills. Like, wish this program was around 10 years ago, because then I'd be flying high on this, high that I have right now. I feel, amazing with, not only getting to talk to someone who's really educated and brilliant, but also fixing a lot of not only food things, child things, like, memories and
mhm.
self-worth. There's so many things that you can't even quantify with the program.
Yeah. Oh, good, good. That makes me just so proud and just so happy. Thank you so much. For giving your all and being so truthful and honest, and also kicking ass in the program. I mean, you're like a star client. You've gotten incredible results, and you are a completely new person than when we first started. And it's just amazing to witness and hold space for you. Um, Last question. Imagine a friend or someone close to you who is on the fence, maybe about working together with me, and ask you for your opinion. What would you say to them?
When can you start? um, what I really would say to them, though, is first I'd ask a couple questions of where they are in their health journey, because I do think, like I said, I do think you have to really be in this place of like, I am ready to commit to this, because I could imagine some people could join this program not fully ready to put themselves immersed in it, and they might not get the right benefit out of it. So the first thing I would ask my friend is to kind of see where they are. And if they're really feeling that lostness, I mean, I know a few people who could even think of right now that I would say this to, that, the keto diet's not going to make you feel amazing forever. It's not a sustainable thing you can do forever. Now,
Mhm.
health, standpoint, and disease standpoint, if you have to be on that, I support you and I love you. But if you're doing it to lose weight, it's not going to be something you can do forever. And maybe there's something behind your need to lose weight that's bigger than what you think it is. And I think wholeheartedly that if you're ready to explore what that is and put in the work to, you know, first of all, understand it, and then second of all, combat it, I say you need to save up now and get ready to join this program, because it's going to be your money well spent, and also your time. I mean, Hannah, it's been wonderful talking to you. I don't know what I'm going to do not talking to you every week. I mean, we could talk, but our
Yeah,
scheduled,
I'm always here. I'm always
sessions.
here. Mhm.
But I do have to say, put in the time, put in the effort, and you're going to only see amazing results, and you're going to love the person that comes out on the other side.
Yes, 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 absolutely. 100,000% yes. That was beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this interview with me. It was extremely helpful for me, my own feedback, and also for those watching. So thank you. Is there anything else that you want me to know? Anything at all?
Um, Hannah, you're a brilliant, support system, and I think you're doing an amazing job. And I think you're gonna continue to change, probably men, but a lot of women's lives. I think you're a really wonderful, spokeswoman for women, a spokeswoman for women, especially. I do think that we don't give ourselves enough credit, and we don't ask for help enough. And I think you have done this incredible program that makes you feel like you deserve, I deserve help. I'm a great person. And
Mhm.
like, I've learned to love myself a lot more. I haven't loved myself in years. I don't know when the last time I could say that I truly, truly was like obsessed with myself and like just have this huge self-love. So thank you for everything you've done, and you're the best.
Absolutely. You're the best. It was all you. You changed your life. I just helped you get there a little faster than doing it on your own. But it was you that
Fair.
said yes the minute that you decided to invest in me as your coach. It was all you. So just know that and take that in. And I love you so much. And I'm still here. So when you're my client for life. And if you have anything at all that you need down the line, you know where to find me.
Thank you so much, Hannah. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I
I'll
love
see you soon.